What if everything you believe is built on something you can't prove? Not scientifically, not logically, not even visibly. And yet, millions of people would say it's more real than anything else. So here's the question. Is faith actually stronger than evidence? Or is it just what we cling to when evidence runs out? Welcome back to Sacred Questions, a space where we explore the hardest, most uncomfortable, and most meaningful questions about God, faith, and truth. Today's question is one that sits right at the center of belief itself. Is faith stronger than evidence? Because depending on how you answer that, it could reshape everything: how you see God, truth, doubt, and even yourself. Let's start by being honest about the tension. On one side, we have evidence, things we can observe, test, measure, and verify. Evidence is what science depends on. It's what gives us confidence in what we know. On the other side, we have faith, often described as trusting in something without seeing it. In the Bible, faith is defined as the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. And right there, you can feel the tension. Evidence says, "Show me, and I'll believe." Faith says, "I believe, even before I see." So which one is stronger? Or are we asking the wrong question? Let's consider the argument for evidence. Evidence protects us from deception. Without evidence, we could believe anything, no matter how false, harmful, or irrational. If someone claimed something extraordinary, we naturally ask for proof, and that's not wrong. Even in the Bible, there are moments where people seek evidence. Think about Thomas, often called Doubting Thomas. He refused to believe Jesus had risen unless he could see and touch the wounds. And when Jesus appears to him, he doesn't reject Thomas outright. He meets him there. He shows him the evidence. So clearly, evidence has value. It grounds belief. It anchors it in reality. But here's the deeper question. Is evidence enough? Because evidence has limits. There are things that matter most in life that can't be fully proven. Love, meaning, purpose, moral truth. You can't put love in a lab and measure it. You can't scientifically prove that your life has purpose. And yet, most people live as if these things are real. Even in everyday life, we rely on a kind of faith. You trust that people are telling the truth. You trust that tomorrow will come. You trust that your experiences mean something. None of these are proven with absolute certainty. So maybe faith isn't the opposite of evidence. Maybe it's what carries us beyond what evidence can reach. Now let's look at faith itself. In Christianity, faith is not meant to be blind belief. It's not about ignoring evidence. In fact, many argue that faith is built on some evidence, historical, philosophical, experiential. But it goes further. Faith involves trust. Trust in God's character. Trust in something bigger than yourself. Trust even when the answers aren't clear. And this is where things get uncomfortable, because faith often asks us to step into uncertainty, not irrationally, but courageously. It asks, what do you do when the evidence is incomplete? Do you walk away, or do you lean in? Of course, not everyone sees faith this way. Critics argue that faith is dangerous, that it allows people to believe things without sufficient reason. They say, if you believe without evidence, what stops you from believing anything? And that's a fair concern. History has shown that belief without reflection can lead to harm. So, the challenge is this: can faith exist without becoming blind? And can evidence exist without becoming cold and incomplete? Maybe the real answer isn't choosing one over the other. Maybe faith and evidence are not enemies. Maybe they are partners. Evidence can point. Evidence can suggest. Evidence can open the door. But faith is what steps through it. Think of it this way. Evidence might tell you that a bridge is strong, but faith is what allows you to walk across it. At some point, you have to trust. So, is faith stronger than evidence? Maybe that's not quite the right question. Maybe the real question is, what kind of faith are we talking about? Is it blind faith, refusing to think, question, or seek truth? Or is it thoughtful faith, willing to wrestle, doubt, and still trust? Because the strongest faith isn't the one that ignores evidence. It's the one that has looked at the evidence, wrestled with the doubts, and still chooses to believe. Not because it has all the answers, but because it has found something, or someone, worth trusting. And now I want to hear from you. Do you think faith is stronger than evidence? Or should belief always depend on proof? Let's have an honest conversation in the comments. Share your own experiences or habits when it comes to wrestling with these questions. If you enjoy exploring questions like this, questions that don't have easy answers, make sure you subscribe to Sacred Questions. Because sometimes the deepest truths are found not in certainty, but in the questions we're brave enough to ask.